my God!
I thought you went to a concert!
We forgot the tickets! Why in the kitchen?
I do it everywhere! Stop shaming me!
You're not the victim here!
I hate you, and I was thinking about your friend Grace!
Ah!
Let's start here, because I know some of you are already jumping in the comments. Oh bro, what are you saying? Are you telling us to watch Korn?
NoFap, semen retention, motivation. Today I want to talk about the different modes of NoFap. What are the different modes? Normal mode, hard mode. Is there...
NoFap started as a good idea. Porn is toxic. It hijacks your brain, trains you to be passive, and messes with your dopamine system. So, yeah, quitting porn, that's a good move. I don't think you should be watching porn, or even worse, paying for it. I'm not sure what's wrong with those people that actually pay. I genuinely believe they have some sort of mental issues. What I'm talking about is, NoFap has this cult-like following, where guys swear that quitting fapping magically fixes their lives. But here's the truth. For most men, NoFap is just cope, a way to feel in control when their life is actually falling apart. Again, don't get me wrong, cutting out porn is good. But the way some guys treat NoFap like some spiritual semen retention superpower, that's when it becomes pure copium. They sit around counting days like it means something. Day 15, I feel the power. Day 52, still no urges. Bro, who fucking cares? You're not doing anything with that energy and hoping somehow the universe will reward you for not touching yourself. According to NoFap believers, the longer you go without blasting, the stronger, more attractive, and more disciplined you become. Some even claim that it leads to financial success and spiritual enlightenment. The reality? NoFap doesn't give you superpowers. It doesn't work like that. It just makes you feel better because you're not constantly draining dopamine with porn. But that's not magic. That's just basic self-control. One of the main reasons I made this video is cause most guys doing NoFap are in the self-improvement movement. Let's be real, you're taking care of yourself, optimizing your diet, sleep, and lifestyle. You become healthier and your testosterone naturally increases. One of the effects of a higher testosterone is high libido and increased sex drive. And if you're normal and healthy, naturally you'll want to.
What's this thing in the middle of the room with the hole in the end?
That's a breeding mount. The nurses use it to collect reproductive material. Okay, let's go see this latest piece of Marvel shit you kids are jizzing over.
Yeah, about time. So, does your hospital ever need, like, after-school volunteers?
Wow, who are you and where did you put my son?
No, seriously, I'm very interested in your work. Morty, you dirty little doggy.
Then imagine someone telling you, now do NoFap. Realistically, you're gonna fail. You'll keep relapsing.
But I think like your mileage may vary, and we don't really know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, I think I'll add, I think the problem I have with it to some degree is when people are white knuckling it, right? They're getting peer pressured into it. Like, you got to stop, right? And so then they're really trying hard not to ejaculate. And so they're tensing up their pelvic floor muscles. They're developing problems because they're tensing up their pelvic floors. They're developing dysfunctions. They're getting pain with ejaculation. They're getting pain with erections, or they get so much shame when they have a nocturnal emission, for example.
A nocturnal emission is a nighttime ejaculation.
Exactly. So they're getting so shamed by the community because they've failed, which is completely out of their physiologic control. Like, you're going to have a nocturnal emission if your body wants to have one. There's nothing you can do about it. So
I think it's easier for these self-proclaimed alpha males to tell someone to do NoFap when they have girlfriends. You start blaming everything on the fact that you're not on day 90 yet. You convince yourself, oh bro, once I hit 90 days, I'll be unstoppable. No, you won't. You'll be the same guy with a cleaner browser history. That's it. One of the biggest claims is that NoFap skyrockets testosterone. This reminds me of Hamza, throwing around science like it's magic. Oh bro, testosterone increases by 400% if you do NoFap. NoFap doesn't increase your testosterone. That one study showed a temporary spike by about 45%, and then levels return to normal. Not only that, but regular ejaculation has no long-term effect on testosterone production. In reality, your testosterone is more influenced by diet, eating enough healthy fats and protein, sleep, sunlight, and minimizing stress on the body, not by semen retention.
A lot of people will misinform people and say, oh, you're going to have a higher testosterone, you're going to have all these physiologic changes, which have not been borne out in literature. So ultimately, there's no evidence to support the fact that abstaining from anything like masturbation is actually going to have a benefit. More likely than not, either you're going to have a nocturnal emission or body's going to absorb that semen. So it doesn't really change what's going on physiologically.
Is there an impact on fertility if I masturbate or don't masturbate?
Yes. So fertility, we do see that if you abstain for about 5 days, up to 5 days, you're going to see some improvement in the semen volume potentially, and also some characteristics of the sperm. But above and beyond that, you start seeing DNA damage. And so that can actually be negative if you abstain for too long.
So the sperm are effectively dying in the
you're
scrotum.
seeing like mutations, so they're not as effective. They're not going to die necessarily, but they're not going to create a healthy, fetus or embryo.
Some guys even start treating semen like it's divine, like every drop is pure masculine gold. Let me break something to you. Your body makes millions of sperms every day. Retention won't make you superhuman. Sure, ejaculation 10 times a day is stupid. It'll drain you. It's unnatural. But so is obsessing over every drop like it's the philosopher's stone. If you really think the only thing holding you back is semen retention, you've got a way bigger problem. This is called spiritual bypassing, using a simple habit to avoid harder work. NoFap becomes their entire personality because it's easier than facing real challenges. Another wild claim is that women can sense when you're retaining semen and are naturally drawn to you. But let's get real for a second. Women aren't pheromone detectors for NoFap. Oh, bro, you're not getting women because you're fapping. No, you're fapping because you don't get women. For most guys, fapping isn't the cause, it's the result. I would tell you guys to go get a girlfriend, but easier said than done. I think if you had a girlfriend, you wouldn't be obsessed with NoFap streaks to attract women. Real attraction will come from your looks, confidence, which comes from a positive feedback loop and social skills.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Now, I'm not saying porn addiction isn't real. It definitely is, and can destroy your dopamine system, ruin your focus, and warp your view of relationships. If you're addicted to porn, then yes, quitting will have a huge positive impact. But if you're a guy who occasionally, NoFap won't magically turn your life around. Instead of obsessing over NoFap streaks, focus on what actually changes your life. Looks maxing, taking care of your health, get a social circle, and try to actually enjoy your life. Look, if NoFap helps you break a porn addiction, great. But if you're using it as a substitute for real growth, you're just coping. Stop waiting for women to sense your NoFap streak. It doesn't work the way people claim. You want to know why you still feel like a loser on NoFap? Because you haven't made any real change. Most of the effects of NoFap are just the placebo effect. For most guys, porn is just a symptom. It's not the root problem. The real disease is that your life is just boring, lacks meaning, and you can't get a girlfriend. Fix that, and porn becomes irrelevant. Look, NoFap isn't evil. It's a start, but don't worship it. Don't convince yourself you're growing just because you're abstaining. Most young guys start self-improvement to feel better and become better versions of themselves. And a big part of self-improvement is looks maxing, making yourself more attractive to attract a partner. For the average and below average men, it's hard to get a girlfriend. But I'm telling you, NoFap is going to be harder. If you relapse, move on. It's not the end of the world. I'm honestly curious to hear your thoughts on NoFap, because personally, I think it's hyped up like crazy.
Overrated as f***, in my opinion.
Cut the cope and build something real. Make informed choices about your health. Try improving what you can, and make peace with what you can't.